Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. And coming soon, I'll be launching a membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong with me this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or follow the Zoom room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 92. August is a great time to recommit or finally commit, however you want to call it, to getting places on time. I've written often on this topic, so if you want to hear more, head over to my blog on my website and search for time management strategies or check out my past podcast episodes. Over the summer, a community member asked me to write about how to get places on time. And when I think about that, I recall a client and friend asking me very early on in our working relationship, very earnestly, how do you get places on time? And then she looked at me and said, no, really, how do you get places on time? She shifted it from asking for broad global tips about time management down to how did I, Colleen, actually get to her house on time that morning? She and I were both working moms with small children at the time, and she wanted specifics. And so we worked on that together. Relatedly, we were having a conversation about this at a family event recently about how different family members or even sides of a family can have much different views on what is on time. And we discussed which family members will arrive early. Yes, I have those family members. And which family members we need to tell that the party starts half an hour earlier than it does, so the rest of us can eat before the food gets cold. And I have those family members too. So let's get to it. To get us started, I will use me as a case study because then I don't have to ask for permission. So here's how we do this. For a timed event over the weekend, my husband and I confirmed with each other and by checking the text from the host as to the official start time of an event. And we decided we wanted to be there as it began. So let's say 2 p.m. We looked at the rest of the agenda for the day, which was pretty light because it was a Saturday. We debated running the errands we needed to take care of on our way to the event or knocking them out first thing in the morning instead. And then, knowing how long it typically takes us to get to this event location, we agreed upon the time we needed to leave by to get there when the event started, right? How to be on time. So let's break that down into simple steps. And as I wrote this, I realized it could be a top 10 list. So here we go. Tip number 1, to get places on time, we first need to discuss what is on time for you. Because here's the thing, that's not up to me. I can't tell you what your own policies should be, but I can tell you that if you want to get better about getting places on time, these are the questions you need to ask yourself. A long ago Little League coach taught my oldest son that early was on time and on time was late. And that verbalized a guiding principle that I've always used, and it verbalized it for him as well. Tip number 2, check your notes. We need to know the event details, like start time, and determine what time we want to arrive. And keep in mind, different activities require different strategies. For example, you may want to arrive 15 minutes early for a doctor appointment when you know there will be forms to fill out. Or 15 minutes early at least, or as arranged, for a speaking engagement. Like when I'm presenting, I want the event coordinators to know that their speaker will be ready at the agreed upon time. Maybe you are okay with being fashionably late, like maybe half an hour after start time for a graduation open house. Hopefully, you should be 5 minutes early for dinner reservations. For me, for work, I plan to be exactly on time for a client appointment because I have found that arriving too early for a client appointment where the client struggles with time management can cause my clients undue anxiety, as can arriving late for the appointment for the same reasons. And very specifically, we need to be early for events like flights or trains or things that will not wait for us, right? So there's some things that we just have to commit to. These are examples of when we need to answer the question, when do I want to arrive? Get in the habit of asking yourself that question. Tip number 3 is understand and determine your leave time. Think with me here. Do you leave your door and you're on your way? Or do you leave your door, wait for the elevator, take it down 11 stories, go to the parking garage, wait in line to get out, and then you're on the way? So that seems an extreme example, I know, but it does highlight how different our concept of time can be. I know for myself, I have a 2 to 3 minute process between leaving my back door and actually leaving my garage. So if I want to be on time, I need to factor in those invisible 3 minutes to my total travel time. And if there's even one more person in the leave time equation, either at home or at work, it is likely the invisible minutes will increase. Tip number 4 is to know your usual travel time and then add 5 minutes. Tip number 5, use your GPS. Use GPS on your phone to navigate even to your usual destinations if you're trying to be on time for things, right? This may sound silly, but if getting places on time is a challenge for you, perhaps it is time to try new strategies. I use GPS on work days all the time, especially if my drive is anything over 15 minutes, because my GPS will alert me to any snags, slowdowns, or trouble on my route. I have a client I visit one morning a month, and due to tollway construction between my house and her house, my travel time to her home varies widely and occasionally even doubles from half an hour to an hour from trip to trip. So I always check the GPS early on that monthly morning to factor in any changes in my commute. Of course, if I'm just out and about and running errands and not on the clock, so to speak, I don't need to use my GPS. But again, if the strategy is to be on time for things, know that that's a tool that's available. Tip number 6 is to have a plan for putting gas in your car. Now, I don't know how it is in your house, but we have differing views on how full a gas tank should be in my house, and that's okay. But this is a simple thing, and it really does make a difference. Hear me out. Have a schedule or routine around filling your tank, and not just when you have no gas left, and not in the morning. Because no, you will not remember to leave early, and instead you will hop in your car to get to work or your next appointment and realize you do not have enough gas to get there or there and home. So dedicate a few minutes on a weekly errand day or pick a favorite station near your house and make a habit of checking your gauge as you drive by, and make a stop if you have a quarter tank or less. Tip number 7 is to consider the time needed upon arrival. Imagine with me, your GPS has guided you to your location with ease, and you arrive a few minutes early. Way to go. And then you realize there's only street parking. Welcome to Chicago. And you have to drive around the neighborhood for 20 minutes. Or there is a parking garage, or a line for security, or any number of invisible minutes ticking away. So remember to factor in that extra wait time when you arrive, or the additional 5 minutes of walking or waiting for the elevator, etc., to your get places on time formula. Tip number 8 is to use a bag. Again, hear me out. I remember sitting in the high school drop-off line with my youngest son, and we would watch the kids in the car in front of us slowly get out of the car with like a shoe, just one in one hand, and a Pop-Tart in the other, and like 4 or 5 loose items like a binder and Chromebook, coat, maybe the other shoe tucked in the crook of their arm. which of course could and occasionally did all fall to the ground at any moment, especially when they reached back in the car for a few more loose items. More than once, we sighed with impatience and discussed how much smoother the process would be if that kid had a backpack and actually used it. The tip then is to corral loose items and put them in the bag when you arrive at your destination. Seems simple. Sometimes simple is the best. There you go. Tip number 9 is get where you're going and then relax. There are days when I could stay in my office and send off one more email or text one more client or read one more article, but then I might be running a few minutes late. So the other idea is I could leave right now, right? And then take care of those tasks when I arrive at my destination. So my habit has adjusted over the years to get out the door and then take a few minutes when I've arrived at my destination to take care of those tasks. And if my travel takes longer than expected, I can tackle those tasks another time today. Tip number 10, last one, is to have a backup plan. All the time, have a backup plan. We went to the White Sox game last Monday. We won, woohoo, and we took the Metro. We factored in the event details like when the game started and what time we were meeting our friends, and then we planned for which train we needed to take. But we also knew that if we couldn't make the train times work, we could absolutely drive instead. We didn't want to, but we could, right? We had a plan B that we would still make that event happen even if we had to adjust, and that's okay. So consider, public transportation or carpools, alternate routes, Uber, whatever that looks like for you. If you also would like to make changes to help you get places on time, check out any one of these or maybe all of these top 10 tips and tell me what you think in an email or in a DM via my social media platforms. Support around time management, productivity, and making positive change in our lives is what organizational and productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at Colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through any of my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you next week.